Hello, this is a review of... Oh God, what a terrible picture of me.
I'm sporting the Donald Sutherland hair.
What a great episode. This is a spoiler review of The Undoing, episode 3, Sky Atlantic's brilliant new series with
HBO produced.
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole who?
Kidman. And Hugh Grant.
Grant.
We bloody love it.
So this is episode 3. So if anyone's been following it, we're in the intriguing situation of, did Hugh Grant kill the woman he was having an affair with, and as it transpires, has had his baby daughter? So, you know...
So, who loved it? We want to hear what your theories are. Just straight off the bat, just first now say guilty or not guilty so far with what we know. Is Hugh guilty or not guilty?
Is Hugh guilty or not guilty?
Just give it to us. Guilty or not guilty? Mark?
Adrian Waters.
At the moment, obviously...
Not guilty.
At the moment, not guilty me too. I think he's a nasty fucker. No, I think he's a psychopath. But I don't think he murdered. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty.
I think it's too... I mean, there's the obvious thing where I think it could be too obvious that it is Hugh.
But sometimes they do that when it's the obvious
It's a double bind, isn't it? It's
double bluff.
It's a flip back, flip side.
Oh, Teresa Davison thinks he's guilty.
Beverly Newton, not guilty.
Jane Kendrick
Scarlett,
doesn't
not
think
guilty.
he's guilty. Ellen
Zoe
Jones.
Agnew, not guilty, as the guy said he's a bit of a dick, but not a killer. Didn't you think that lawyer was brilliant? The lawyer
I thought
that was brought...
scene... Well, let's work through it.
Let's work through it. Okay, so why... Okay, first questions first. We spent the beginning of this episode and the last 2 episodes trying to work out why the bearded cop is so hostile towards Nicole.
Why do you hate her?
Well, it's kind of
Why
transpired
are you so
now,
awful?
hasn't it?
Well, we won't get that till that's the end. So that was where we started off.
So we've been wondering that. But prior to, can I just say, prior to even watching this episode, I'd started to suspect Noah Jupe, their son, as potentially being the bludgeoner.
Dead end.
See, bludgeoning is something that a young child would do.
No, dead end. It's not Neil.
Dead end? It's not him.
He's so good, that actor, though. We say it every week. Got to say it again.
But he was extraordinarily interested in where the hammer was and the fact that the hammer had been taken when he was looking on the iPlayer.
He was just looking at it because he couldn't believe it. Maybe he knows something else about that hammer. Maybe that's a hammer from their house.
Hammer from that...
Hang on.
Didn't
we have a hammer situation in one of the episodes? Didn't they need a hammer? Or a screwdriver?
I seem to remember he did. Where were his tools?
He couldn't find them.
He couldn't find his tools. Nicole's hammer. Wendy Stewart thinks she's... Okay, well, we're getting there. Let's get there. So then we have the indignity of Hugh Grant being dragged into a court situation where we got our first proper look at the husband of the victim, didn't we?
Yes.
And he looked a bit angry.
Yes.
But as was established later on, he's... As most husbands are angry.
He was like,
when their wives have been killed.
His wife's fucked somebody else and he's been murdered. That's the kind of thing that gets husbands angry.
Yeah, exactly. So he's naturally looking suspicious. But then, what was going on with Hugh Grant and the lovely blonde lawyer from American Horror Story?
Well, they're just very old friends. They're very old friends. And don't forget,
she
was who he initially approached when the stuff was going on with the young woman.
And then in part 2, we got to Hugh's lawyer, and it was an incredibly...
Oh my God, I thought that was such a chilling
scene.
And it's made me think so much about the injustice of the system. Because there you've got the public defender who doesn't give a shit because I like him guilty because
I prefer it when people
and then
are guilty.
later on you've got the very expensive billionaire's lawyer that says, oh, I'll definitely get him off. What I do is create muck.
Well, she was great. But I thought that scene with
her.
Hugh Grant was brilliant, where the lawyer said exactly that. I prefer it when people are guilty, and he also said most doctors are arseholes.
You don't get to be an arsehole anymore.
And you don't get to be an arsehole anymore. So they're clearly establishing this idea that, sorry if there are any doctors watching, that a lot of doctors are egotistical, narcissistic, psychopathic maniacs. Would you agree with that, of the surgeons you've met?
Well, I'm not saying anything like that.
I mean, it's slightly perturbing if surgeons... But I suppose it's that thing of being in control of life.
There is not a profession where there is power involved, that there won't be psychopaths on the spectrum. The spectrum's vast, don't forget. There are psychopaths walking amongst us all the time that wouldn't murder anyone. And that's where I'm at the moment with Hugh Grant. I think he's a psychopath for sure. The way he told the story, she... and then she became obsessed and she stopped me from it. You could see he has no feelings at all. No feelings of the consequences that have been meted
And
out
then-
on his family.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's murdered her.
But there was one particular scene that we're jumping forward again here, where he almost bit the finger off another
No,
inmate.
don't jump
Oh,
forward.
okay, but just wanted to back up your idea that that was a bit psychopathic, wasn't it?
Well, he is a psychopath.
So anyway, so the next chat with this same lawyer who I love, this kind of, street smart, says it as it is, low level lawyer for Hugh, says the thing about post-traumatic betrayal of Nicole, doesn't he? He says, look, prior to him being a
Would you have thought he could have done that?
philandering, baby-creating maniac, would you have thought he could have killed someone? And then really most of this episode is Nicole moving to a position of trying to sort of, in a sense, support her husband, would you say?
Well, I mean, if she turns out to be guilty, it's just a
suggested that?
monumental bit of writing, isn't it? Because it's been crafted so brilliantly that we've seen her come out and set aside her own pain, her own vengeance, and we've seen the mother in her. I have to put to one side what my feelings are, which is also what a therapist would do. A therapist would say, these aren't my needs, my child's needs are. That if his father is innocent, then I have to help him prove that. However much I want the revenge, I've got to do that. So that's very believable why she's moving into that. It's also a good defence if she's guilty.
Can I just pause for a moment? Sky Lisa, it doesn't mean you're a psychopath because you're a nurse, no. Laura 0860, I still think the son did it and the grandfather knows and is helping him. And Jill Brooks says, I think Nicole Kidman's character's father, Donald Sutherland, is implicated. He was looking into the house of the husband of the murdered wife. The father is into art and the woman murdered was an artist. Good connection.
Do you think he was sleeping with her too?
What? Oh. And so those tears were crocodile tears.
No, they were real tears because he too was obsessed and infatuated in love with her.
But
She
maybe
was
the $500,000 was for
gorgeous.
her.
Yes.
I mean, she was beautiful. But you don't... Still doesn't mean you do.
What's that mean? She was beautiful.
Well, you just said she was gorgeous.
Why are you saying that?
Well, if I say she's beautiful, you just said she was
but
gorgeous.
What do you mean?
Well, what did you mean?
I don't know.
Neither do I. So we've got all of that. Nicole doubting. She takes... Hugh is imploring and on bended knee, squealing that he's not guilty. But then she goes to see Hugh's colleague. Do you remember the bearded chap and the glass chap? And he says he's a narcissistic psychopath.
Yeah.
Could that be professional jealousy?
But this is why I love this drama.
It's like a murder
because
mystery
it's
weekend.
just constant intrigue.
Chin chin.
And you don't feel like the jerkiness of like, oh, we're going to take
That's
off
what I like about it.
multiple different plots. There's
very subtle.
real intrigue in it. Yeah.
It's very subtle in its intrigue and in its corner turning. And Nicole turns quite a few corners on the streets of New York as well, so there you go. Noah Jupe, very powerful performance from him again when he went to see his dad.
Very powerful.
Direct questioning, did you F her? And Hugh Grant's kind of like, bloody hell, all right. So at that point, did you believe Hugh Grant? Did you believe him at the end of part 3, 2?
When he was talking to his son, I thought he's absolutely 100% a psychopath. No doubt
Really?
about it.
Oh.
He is a psychopath. He didn't care really how his son felt or how his wife felt. It was all about how wrongly he'd been treated by this woman.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean...
Bailey says the red herrings are very clearly thrown in this narrative. What are your most obvious red herrings?
Well, there are
Bailey?
red herrings all over the place. And I know what you mean. They are there because you're thinking one thing and then there's another red herring. But I think we're taken there subtly. Yes, then the red herring lands in your lap, but I love the red herring. I love it.
I like the red herring. What did you think? I think there's significance in the scene of Sutherland and Kidman sat at the piano talking about their mum.
I didn't. I just thought she was missing a mum.
No, I don't. I think there's something very significant like the hammer. I think you need to park that moment of the piano in the back of your head. Now, there's a moment in the yard in the prison where we, again, were dropped a bit of a red herring. Could it be a red herring or is it a real character portrait? He went batshit crazy, Hugh Grant.
Or could it have been he's so desperate, we don't know, something terrible might have already happened to him in prison. We all know what can happen in a men's prison. And maybe he's just thought, I have to go batshit crazy right off at the beginning so that I'm left alone. And he bit that man's finger off.
Virtually. That was quite something.
That was good.
That was quite something.
I couldn't watch. I was saying to Mark, what's happening? What's happening?
And then we had the introduction of the new lawyer that Nicole Kidman's going to go and get to defend her husband, and her line, her delivery, she's a fabulous actress, I forget her name, but she was in Harry Potter and all sorts, wasn't she? Her line about, I do muck.
I create muck.
And if you want
Oh,
muck,
I'm not saying I won't get him off.
No.
But I can't make him faithful. And I can't make him honest.
But I can create muck.
Oh, it was good.
Oh, it was good. And then, of course, the victim's husband sort of follows her with his incredibly sort of colourful
Has he got lovely
McLaren.
eyes?
He's got amazing eyes. He's got a lovely McLaren.
Did you see the way the baby was
Bridgejet.
just covered in a cardigan? She didn't have a blanket. Well, it was a nice touch.
Why?
Well, it showed that he's struggling for money and he's
I
out
thought-
on a cold night.
Well, I thought
He's
it
not
showed
looking-
irresponsibility.
Well, he's not
and a
looking
sort
after
of
the baby
maniacal.
properly. He's maniacal.
He's maniacal. And he followed her and he went up. I don't know if I'd have let him into the house.
I
That
know.
was a bit...
Was he in her flat?
But do you think she was doing that as a psychological thing to say he's kind of inveigled his way in? She's a therapist. Because she then goes to the police. The police then get a bit narky with her. And this is the biggest bit of the thing that I think is going on here. They
Yeah.
pull out the CCTV on the laptop. They say, she says...
Remember the kiss in the
Yeah.
lift? Remember
Kiss-
how
remember
much
the
she
kiss
loved
in the
that?
lift?
Remember when she was naked and right in her face?
And she says there must be footage. They say there isn't footage going into where she was murdered, but there is footage on the street, and there's footage of Nicole Kidman crossing the road. And guess what I think? I think the smoochy sounds that the woman, the victim's husband, heard was Nicole and the woman.
But didn't we see her go home and hang around waiting for Hugh? She was in bed, she was having a cereal, she was waiting for him. And then, the other thing that proves he's a psychopath, so he's admitted that he's gone and seen her bludgeoned to death, and then he comes home and has sex with Nicole.
That's a nasty
That's a
detail.
psychopath.
It's not even a psychopath.
You can't see somebody bludgeoned and then go and have sex.
Maybe he didn't.
It's
see
like
her bludgeoned.
you couldn't just suddenly have a sandwich, could you?
Well, I think having sex with Nicole Kidman's a bit more than having a sandwich. If I could... I mean, I've not experienced it myself, but I'm pretty certain it's a bit more exciting than having a
It is
sandwich.
riveting. Brenda says it sounds riveting. I must watch it.
It is riveting.
It is riveting. I love it. Twists
Yeah.
and turns.
So I think at the end of this episode, Nicole did it.
I think at the end of this episode, I haven't got a flaming clue.
So anyway, guys, we're now going to go, and we're going to go straight over to a night shift in about 5 or 10 minutes.
No, in a few minutes.
In
We'll
a
be
few
back on
minutes.
night shift. We're just going to stop this and start
Skedazzle's
again.
going to get tea. All
And
right.
if you liked this review, please hit the thumbs up underneath my left breast.
Yeah, I'm going to do... Yes, okay.
And tell all your friends about this show. I'm sure you can
Tell
watch
all
it
your friends,
catch up.
and once the film is uploaded, keep your comments and theories coming in, because I love to read them when I'm on the loo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Theories. We love your
Theories. We love theories.
Yeah.
Especially theories. I love
Theories,
a theory.
please.
All right, guys.
See you in a minute.
See you in a minute.
Bye.
Oh, bye.